Back here on Extra Points. Sorry you're on the standby screen for so long. Our commercials didn't want to play. We'll figure that out. A little technical difficulties going on today, but we're not going to have any here during this interview. Mike Mastovich from the Tribune Democrat joining us here live on WTAJ+. Of course, you can watch our show weekdays at 3:30 right here on WTAJ+. You can follow Mastovich at Masty81 on Twitter. We're talking about some District 6 news. Mike, you reported about this over the weekend. There's been a handful of transfers coming out of Johnstown and Windber, heading over to Bishop McCort. The only two names you've reported on are Zamir and Julius Reed, appear to be leaving Greater Johnstown and heading to Bishop McCort. It appears they're heading for a July hearing. What is the process here? Because you've got both Windber contesting the three players they appear to be losing, and Johnstown contesting the three players they're losing. What does the process like this look like?
Yes, thanks for having me on. Our District 6 chairman, Ralph Cesari, kind of went through the whole thing with me. And over the years, there have been a few of these that, we've had to cover. It's not very frequent, but Mr. Cesari, what he was telling me about this process, they're shooting for a July 10th date. And what makes it a little interesting, on the one side, it's both schools are District 6, Johnstown and Bishop McCort Catholic. And then the other one is Bishop McCort Catholic and Wimber's in District 5. So on that, the way it was explained to me is you've got, normally it's a District 6 committee, which would be the case for the Greater Johnstown Bishop McCort. And then with the Wimber one, if it goes the way Ralph explained it to me, it would be kind of a hybrid committee with some representation from District 5 as well as the District 6 committee that would hear the evidence presented by both sides in this situation, and then they would render a decision. And of course, as has happened in the past, a lot of times, once that decision is made, assuming it's on July 10th, the party that loses often, they have the right to appeal to the PIAA, and that often does happen. And then you've got to go through the whole process at that level again. And here we are, if that's July 10th, you're getting closer and closer to the opening of football training camp. So I'm sure the PIAA, if there is an appeal, would have to address that very quickly.
Mike, kind of talk a little bit about maybe what happened at Johnstown. Of course, this past winter with Tony Penna Jr. kind of being the head coach once again at Greater Johnstown. Obviously, Antoine Reed, the father of both Julius and Zamir, was the head coach there the past few years. Just kind of talk about maybe why Johnstown decided Tony Penna Jr. was the right guy to lead the program once again.
Well, Antoine Reed, a great player at Greater Johnstown, and he did some very positive things coaching the program. Got a lot of people out, got an attitude of togetherness with the teammates and things like that. They were making some strides, especially last season when they did bring back Tony Penna to be the offensive coordinator. The offense looked a heck of a lot better, and two key pieces of that offense, were the great receiver, probable all-state type pick Zamir Reed, and then the quarterback Julius Reed, the younger of the two. And they had some very impressive linemen too that made them break that losing streak that had lasted since 2019. So they decided during their school board meeting in January, Antoine Reed reapplied for his position because his 3-year contract had expired. Tony Penna Jr. also had applied for the position, and the board voted to go with Coach Penna, and everybody was moving on from there. And I did not have any indication that, you wonder if something like a transfer might happen, but I covered the guys during track, and they did great at the District 6 3A meet, and I talked to them after that, and they were excited about next year in track. But there was a move made, obviously, and now there's a hearing coming up over that with 3 players from Greater Johnstown and 3 from Wimber as well.
Mike, did it surprise you at all, though, that Antoine didn't get rehired, given that they finally bucked the losing streak? They finally looked like a really good, reasonable team, and you really thought they had a high ceiling for this year, given the Reed brothers' success.
Yeah, one thing I found covering this, it's going to be 40 years next year. You never know what's going to happen at a school board meeting. There's different things, different factions or different directions people want to go in. So there were two different parties that I know of that applied. I don't know if there was a third, but obviously you have supporters on uh, different levels. Now, from what I heard at the time, I mean, there was no animosity between Tony and Antoine. There was some discussion that whether or not both of them were going to apply, and I don't know if it looked like only one of them was going to apply, then suddenly both did. I've heard that too. So. When the board made the decision, I had it in the original story, but I don't recall what the vote number was. Just speaking here months later, but they decided to go with Tony Penna, who led the team from 2010 to 2018. Had some very successful teams, and they won 3 either District 6 or sub-regional titles. Made some state tournament appearances, and as far as Antoine, his team last year, they broke that losing streak, won 2 games in a row. They were in a fairly tight game against Bishop McCort Catholic, ironically, and a couple turnovers at the end turned it into Crushers' way. Big plays by the Crushers, and that ended the winning streak. And then later in the year, they were right in a couple games. The Bald Eagle game, I think, went to double overtime. So they showed a lot of promise, and it was looking like maybe they would take another step. Now, Coach Penna, the discussions I've had with him, even before all this happened, he was saying that this team is preparing and showed some good strides, and they were preparing with the people who showed up at all these workouts over the last couple months, and we're worried about the people who showed up and the attitude that they took. So they seem to be, in his words, having some decent progress.
And your words, Mike, here, do you think if these transfers are approved that Bishop McCort would be maybe among the top teams in the LHAC this upcoming year? Because you talked about Julius and Zamir both being really talented players.
Yes, I think Bishop McCort Catholic is set to be, even before any of this happened with the roster, uh, they only lost 2 seniors last year. Eli Zadny was a very good player, and Logan Arnold, I believe, was the other one on the line. That they lost, they were in some tight games. They had a little bit of playoff. Very solid team. Now, when I was at the Lancey week, the early week practices, I talked to a few coaches on the sideline, and one of them, who I respect a lot, wouldn't want me to say his name publicly, but he said he thought Bishop McCort was going to be really good, and predicted that 4 or 5 teams in the Laurel Highlands are going to be very good. And it might be one of those years where even the best teams all have at least 1, if not 2 losses. But 2 of the coaches I saw during that Lancey week were really projecting Bishop McCort Catholic as being among the leaders in a very tough Laurel Highlands Athletic Conference.
McCort has.
So to your question, if you add that kind of talent to an already good lineup, that makes you that much more dangerous. And in that 7-on-7 passing, which is the only reason I used in my story the names of the 2 Reed brothers, they were phenomenal in that 7-on-7. McCort, I believe the way that's run, there's schools from all over. Even like my brother lives in Pittsburgh, he came in to watch it, to see his nephew play, and also to see a Pittsburgh team that his boys used to play on. And he told me it was a great game and great games. There was like 4 games. Teams like Bethel Park were there, all kinds of local teams. And Bishop McCort won the tournament. And I was told that both Reeds looked great and had touchdowns in the game. So.
This is Mike Mastovich, the Tribune Democrat. He joins us here to talk about a couple transfers leaving from Windber and Johnstown to head over to Bishop McCort. Both those schools are contesting the transfers, but 2 of them do appear to be Zamir and Julius Reed, 2 of the star players from Greater Johnstown last year. You mentioned you saw them in 7-on-7s, and they looked really good. Riley and I were talking about this out loud. We did not see them on 7-on-7s. We know.
Yeah, I didn't see them. But everybody that I talked to that saw them thought they looked great, and the whole McCort team as well. And my brother was there and saw them. And
okay.
He was telling me he wasn't there just saying they were good. He was saying that McCort as a whole looked good, and he noticed. He said the one guy that's a tall receiver had a great catch, and I think that would qualify for Zymir.
Yeah. We've seen a few great Zymir catches
Yeah,
over the last couple of
the
seasons.
one that, yeah, he was on ESPN.
Yeah, not too many plays make ESPN, especially from this area, but that was a heck of a catch.
I was curious, do you know how they were being used? Because McCort did already have a quarterback. McCort did have some talent already. Do you know how the Reed brothers were being used in the offense?
Wow, I never thought I'd be using my brother as a source so much, but he was telling me.
Should we bring him on the conversation too?
Yeah, we should. But he was telling me that they were both at wide receiver for several of the games, and then the game against Bethel Park, which is where my nephews used to play when they were young. He said Julius was the QB in that game, and McCort had 3 good quarterbacks last year. They unfortunately had a lot of injuries, so they would go to next man up. And I remember doing the preview in camp when Tom Smith was saying that we have 3 capable quarterbacks. They're all going to do their role, and none of them are selfish. And if we need one at a running back or one at a wide receiver, that's what they do. That's what he told me last year. So as each guy would go, they used Bainey, Faribault, Gallucci, each one in different games that I covered. Both 2 times I saw the starting quarterback of the game get injured, and the next guy came in and actually gave him sparks. So they had 3 good quarterbacks already. If you add a 4th to that mix, and all 4 of them can play multiple positions, I'd say that would give coaches a lot to think about.
All right, Mike, bring it back here to the hearing real quick. That's July 10th. You've covered some of these before, so just kind of maybe talk about some of the emotions that kind of go on with some of these hearings. Are these even open to the public? Because I've never been to one of these myself.
I've never been to one in person. I've always made arrangements. When Bill Marshall was District 6 chairman, I had a good relationship with him. I have a very similar good relationship with Ralph Cesari. And I got to emphasize, Ralph told me they're shooting for July 10th. And that was Sunday morning. That's when they're going to do it, as long as nobody has a conflict. So I guess they got to line everybody up, make sure everybody could be there July 10th. So I have not received an update that that's confirmed yet, but that's what they're shooting for. But yeah, every time I've done stories on the district hearings, I mainly did it through telephone and then talking to the coaches of the teams that were involved. And but as far as if you could actually go in the public and sit down and watch it, I don't know if that's true, because if it was, it could be chaos. But that's something I'll ask Ralph Cesari for. I'll get that to you.
Awesome. Sounds good. That'll be your next story for you.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, before we let you go, we got to get to our trivia question here. This is actually why we brought you in. We wanted to just test your knowledge on District 6.
Oh, boy.
So our question today: before Bishop Guilfoyle, who was the last District 6 school to win a state football championship? Do you know this answer?
Okay, wait, let me think. Tyrone?
Tyrone is correct. Woo!
Yeah,
hold on.
go.
I got a sound effect just for the occasion. I wasn't ready. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to turn the microphone off. There we go. He got it. Tyrone was the answer back in, do you know the year?
They were in it in 96 and 99. I thought they won it in 99.
They won
There
it
you
in
go.
1999.
Bonus points.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Mike Mastovich is I'm having all sorts of tech issues today. I'm doing great, guys. I'm doing great. Mike was great, though. Mike was great. We're going to have this full interview up over on WTAJ.com. Mike, we got to head to break. We appreciate you coming on and offering us this insight. We'll keep following along with this story here over the next couple weeks. Thanks, Mike.
All right, thank you.